I'm Dan from HValley Tools. Today we're going to be talking about the Merle Band Clamp that is the best band clamp on the market, in my opinion. So, it's a typical band clamp. You've seen these before. A lot of times they're plastic. A lot of times the entire body of it is plastic. I have myself broken them just from over-tightening it. The plastic wears away, the screw wears away. You really don't get a good feel at how tight is too tight because the plastic flexes and the fabric bands flex. That is not the case with these. And what's really nice is these have non-marring surfaces. So the construction is pretty solid on this. They're made from solid aluminum. You get 4 corners in a kit, typical picture frames, boxes, tables, whatever it is. You can add these. So we have packs of 4 that you can get. So they're add-ons, so you can keep on going. It doesn't have to be a rectangle or a square or anything like that. If you look behind me, we have odd shapes, 6 sides, 8 sides. It doesn't really matter. You can go even up to a circle if you want. All of these clips and all these corners are removable. So there's a little bolt right here on the end that holds this band tight. This can be removed and that band comes out, or you can add or remove as needed the amount of things here. You could even remove all of them, and some people use them as making faux columns. So you can make round columns by taking all the corners out and just having a circular band. This has full pressure into the center of the circle, which is really, really nice and convenient. So you have something like this. You got a triangle here, a triangular box. If you're making like a flag box, you can just put 3 in there. For a box like this, put 4 of them in there. Picture frames, obviously you can put 4, or you can make picture frames with as many sides as you want. And it's really nice because this metal band is like a 1/2-inch metal band here. It gives you even pressure across the entire surface. So with those fabric ones, especially if you were making a bunch of picture frames of the same size or boxes of the same size, and you keep on clamping them down, those fabric straps are going to start to wear in the corners, and they start to get loose and they start to fray, and then it's a whole other problem because then you just keep on tightening it, and eventually the plastic breaks. Nothing on here is plastic outside of the handle, which is fine. There's going to be no stress on there, and these non-marring jaws. Let's look at these for a quick second. So previous versions of this clamp, there were no adjustable jaws here in the corners. It was really just the metal. Which is fine for the most part. You don't really have that big of an issue. But what did tend to happen is if you started dropping around the shop, or if they got marred up, or they got nicked or whatever, or you started to over clamp a little bit, you would start to mar the surface a little bit. With these, not only are they self-adjusting, so as you tighten it down, it's really just going to go to the spot where it's the tightest, the position where it's the tightest. In cases like this, the 90 degrees. But everything on this thing is replaceable. So even if the band gets weak, which it really shouldn't, unless you're really putting it through its courses over years of use, maybe you need a new band one day, you can get a new one. You can get additional jaws like I was showing you. These little red jaws here, replaceable. The plastic clips on the end, these pop right off. So if you were to remove a couple, like in this one we have 3, undo the bolt, take the strap out, slide one off. But to slide one off, you can pop these little plastic clips. They come off just with a flathead screwdriver. Pop those off and then retighten this bolt and you're good to go. It's really just in another league, especially when you need to put it away and you're all done. So if you have a couple of these, imagine if this frame wasn't here, and by the way, look at how easily I can pick this up, and that is really, really tight in there. Nothing looks like it's going to break, I'll tell you that. What's nice is that this is essentially what you would be putting away. You can put a whole bunch of them in a drawer, a whole bunch of them in a cabinet, or even a box. If you've ever had the plastic ones with the fabric straps, they're essentially the same as ratchet straps. You throw them in a box, and when you need to pick one out, you pretty much pick up the entire pile, and it's just a tangled mess, and you have to untangle them. It's a real pain. When you have larger glue-ups, so if you were doing if you're doing a large picture frame for like a diploma or something like that, those fabric ones, just to set up and pulling the fabric out, and then they have those little thumb toggles to tighten down the strap, which never stay tight. you eventually burn right through those as well. It's a lot more adjustment than these are. So we're going to get into a little bit on how to use this, because it's fairly simple with one little gotcha, but for the most part they're extremely straightforward, and again, expandable, remove or take away some of these corners and you're good to go. So let's get into how we use it. So the first thing with this is, obviously this one's already opened up, so I'm just going to show you how to kind of tighten it before. We're going to show you how to put it away first. So one thing is, I like to kind of do this upside down. I like to have the clamp upside down, and the reason for that is this is kind of like an old school tape measure, where you pull this out and then you spin it around to tighten in the strap. So I like kind of having that available to me and my hands available. So I like to flip this over, and when you do that, now I can just kind of pick it up and I'm there. It's just a little quicker, a little bit more comfortable action for me. So first we have this toggle. This is what is actually tightening the band here, so that the handle over here will then tighten the band that you've allowed to expand from this little container. So first off, we loosen this up and pull it on through. Just kind of pull that band until it's out of there. Then you can lock this. So that's locked. Pick this up. Really just start spinning it. You just, reeling it in. Now, here's the gotcha. As you're pulling this through, the coil that's inside of this is building up a lot of tension, and you will feel it, and you will not know what's going on. So here's what's going on. There's a lot of tension in there that's building up because you've now essentially coiled this band as tight as it can coil onto the inside. When I release this toggle thing, it's going to want to expand to fill this container. So it's going to want to spin around real fast. This is really just the watch your knuckles thing, and that's it. So if your knuckles are out of the way, it won't hurt that bad. But if your knuckles are out of the way, you let that spin, and that's really it. So this is the entire form factor of what you're storing away in your shop. That can fit anywhere. Drawer, cabinet, under the bench, doesn't matter. So now we want to set up. So if we have these pieces, we want to set up a picture frame. Here's what we'll do. We'll get this roughly into position where we want it. So that's good. You loosen this. Right. Now, one thing to keep in mind, before you go and start using this to clamp it down tight, I would unscrew this and loosen this as much as you can, because that will give you this full length of all thread as, pretty much how much you can tighten it. You're not going to need to do that much if you get the straps kind of tight around it, but if you need to, you have plenty of clamping pressure with that. So I like to unscrew it as far as it can go. Now we pull our strap out because we're loose. Pull through. Now believe me, using the fabric ones is even more clunky than this. This is always going to be a little clunky. These clamps are always a little clunky to get used to, but honestly, this is the best one on the market. Okay. So you kind of get it close, and you start moving the corners around until you're in the ballpark, really. So we still have a little bit to go. Pull some more out. So you get this corner set up. This one set up. This one around here. This one over the side. So now is when you can start pulling that strap a little tighter. So You just need enough to get it around. Ignore that. Now here's about the time where it seems like we have contact on all four corners. These red adjustable jaws are touching everywhere. And we're happy with how far the clamp is. Now remember, this handle is going to be able to tighten this a lot. Too much even. So what we can do at this point is we tighten this band here, tighten this handle. So what that does is that locks this band so no more can come out, and as we're tightening it and tension's being pulled on this, no more is going to go in. Okay. Alright, so now that we're close, literally the only thing that is left to do is tighten this. So you put some glue on it, magically put some glue on it, but you tighten this down and you can see the band start to get taut on all four sides. Now I will say it's easier to kind of do this near the edge of your workbench so that I can get the full grip of the handle and I don't need to, you know, kind of fold it over. If it was over here, you don't really get that clamping pressure, you don't get a good grip on it. It's good to kind of have it sort of near the end. And you're keeping it flat. You're tightening it down. And you'll be able to feel it. So I can just feel it there. You can feel that if I go too hard, it's going to start to mar. I mean, and that's the thing, it's not going to mar the surface. It's honestly, you could probably crack the wood with this because it has enough clamping pressure, but you don't have to go nuts with it, especially let the glue do its job. But when we're at that point, and you can see that, I mean, that's as tight as you're ever going to need it, especially when there's glue in there that's doing its thing. That's as tight as you're going to need it. Again, previous versions didn't have these adjustable jaws, and those adjustable jaws are there as as a protection. So not only is the corner now completely away from the metal surface, but those are kind of a nice little soft pillow against that, so that you're not going to mar up your surfaces. So you can, I mean, not that you would do this on finished things, but if you were even fixing something that you weren't going to be putting finish on, you're ready to go. The other thing that I'll say about why this is better than some of the fabric ones, with this one, because it's all metal, you know, you can, what was that, a high E? Maybe not. So these bands are pulling all the pressure towards the middle. So with the fabric ones and the plastic ones, as you are clamping this down, a lot of that pressure, while it seems like it's going toward the middle, it's kind of going towards one corner, and it sometimes makes the picture frame or the box walk out of square a little bit, kind of wants to go into a parallelogram, especially as you get those weak points in the straps. If one area of the strap's allowed to expand more than the other because it has some use on it, it's not going to give you long-term results that this does. And again, this thing is one of those items that you can buy once, and then you can pretty much use this for years and years and never really need to change anything on it, which is awesome. So again, these clamps available with the add-ons. If you want some more clamping corners, all available, HValleytools.com, or come on in store.